What's up, guys? I wanted to take a break today from just straight fishing videos and dig in to some tackle, kind of my setup, rod and reel for a couple techniques. And I'm going to try and do this over the next few weeks, even with the techniques I'm throwing at that time. But I thought for the first video in this, what would be more perfect than to talk about the jerkbait and the Keitech, because you guys have seen me throw that so much over the last few months, and it's caught so many fish for me that I thought that would be a really good starting place that you guys can maybe use next year, or maybe use a little bit this year, because they'll bite that Keitech all year, even a jerkbait at times, even the post spawn. But I want to go ahead and dive into it here, and we're going to start with the rod and the reel for the jerkbait. And my personal preference as far as a specific rod and reel is I'm using an old St. Croix Mojo Bass 6'8" medium extra fast. It is considered a topwater rod in their lineup, and I've been using this for a while. And it's a very good rod for the money. I think price point somewhere $120, $130. Very durable, and it's got the perfect action for me. I've used several other rods to throw a jerkbait on, and I love this one. If you're buying one brand new, I would look 6'8" to 6'10". I prefer a little bit shorter rod like that. Medium action, you know, or medium power, fast action, somewhere around in there. Some people will go down to a moderate. This one's an extra fast, but even though it's an extra fast, you know, if you look, that it loads pretty deep into that rod, but because it's an extra fast, it's very responsive on the tip, and that is important for me in the way I like to work a jerkbait. I don't want the rod to be super spongy with a ton of give when I go to twitch. I can feel the bait a lot better. I like it a lot better with that extra fast action. And I've thought several times to buy a newer, even nicer jerkbait rod. And I'm just so in tune with this one. I hate to change. But one of my favorite purchases so far this year is this reel that's on this rod. It is a Curado 70 MGL. And I'm going to tell you, it's a sweet rod. It's small in size, so it's quite a bit smaller than like a Curado DC or Curado K. But the key to the whole deal is it has an MGL spool, and it throws lightweight or hard to throw baits exceptionally well. I mean exceptionally well. I picked up a ton of distance going to that reel this year from a Revo STX, which is what used to be on this rod. It was a good reel, but this reel gained me a lot of distance. And distance is very important when we're talking jerkbait, especially diving jerkbaits, because the further you can get that out there, the more time at max depth that bait is traveling, the more bites you're going to get, just plain and simple. Now, as far as line, fluorocarbon's a must, absolute must. I run 10 pound Seaguar InvizX. I trust it. It's been great to me. I haven't broken any off, hadn't lost a single jerkbait all year. Now, some guys will go down to 8, some will go up to 12. I think if you go above 12, you're hurting yourself tremendously. I would personally consider maybe 12 if I was fishing heavy cover, but with this line, it's very strong. I retie fairly often, or I try to. So 10 pound gets you good depth. It's a good compromise, and that's a good rod for the money. If you don't want to spend the money on that Curado 70, I think it's right around $220 or $30. They make it SLX with the MGL spool too. It would be a way to get into that reel and that spool a little bit cheaper. I think you can save $50 or $60 there. Now, when it comes to the baits themselves, it's no secret I like Megabass. They're expensive, but they're worth it. Colors are phenomenal. Action is perfect. The key to these jerkbaits is they must suspend. They must. If they rise or sink, it's no good. If I had to pick one, maybe slightly sink, but neither is what you want. I use two different ones. I use a Vision 110, a regular one. That bait, I don't know what they say it gets down to, but 5-6 foot is kind of where I can get it on a longer cast. And then the one I throw a lot, the earlier it is in the season, the more I throw the +1. And I throw it quite a bit. It gets down closer to 10 foot. And it's got a little bit different action. It's got a real wide action, where the 110 is not as wide, it's a little tighter. These are two of my favorite colors. This matte shad is a very, very good one. Cloudy days, super clear water. Largemouth and spots seem to really like this one. This one is one I won a tournament on last year. It's a go-to if the water's stained. Kind of on the verge of being, you know, too dirty to throw a jerkbait. This is what I go to, and that's table rock. One thing I do on all of my Megabass jerkbaits is they come with very sticky sharp hooks, those cut sage hooks, but they are very, very light wire. And I've gotten my heart broke a couple times with those, on those hooks bending out. And that's just the game you play with light wire hooks. I change all of mine to Gamakatsu G-Finesse Nano Trebles. These are number 5s. They're actually maybe slightly larger than what's on the bait originally, but the weight is identical, and it will ensure that that bait suspends properly. They are also light wire. You get good penetration. They don't bend as easy. They break easier, but they don't bend easier, and I land more fish with those hooks. That's a very, very good upgrade. I keep the split rings the same because they use good split rings in my opinion. And that's pretty much it. As far as colors go, I'll just give you a little brief idea on that. If it's bright, high sun, super clear water, very natural translucent colors is what you want. If you've got sun and a little bit of stain, something flashy is what you want. It's going to draw a lot further. It's going to attract more fish. Like this right here is a very good flashy color. I think this is like Tennessee Illusion Shad or something, but it is very flashy. You saw back in the day, a lot of people used to throw a clown. Now if it's cloudy out, I want more of a opaque color, not translucent. So like table rock, if it's a little dirty. If it's clear, that matte shad's a good one. If you're around smallmouth, that's actually tied on because I was in South Holston. If you're around smallmouth, this color right here, smallmouth, fairly clear water, kind of sunny, that elegy bone is a go-to. That is hard to beat. Largemouth will eat it too, but it seems like that smallmouth really, really like that chartreuse. Now, let's get into the Keitech, and we'll start with the rod and the reel. This is a custom MHX blank. It's an MHX rod. It's a P842, which is a 7-foot medium power, but I think it's more, it's a light medium in my opinion. What makes this, I love this rod for Keitech because it's a medium, but it is very soft and it loads, you can see me on the tip there, it loads super deep into that blank. So when you get those fish stuck, they're not coming off. I've lost very, very few fish with the Keitech this year on this rod. As far as reel, I've got an old 2500 series Shimano. I think this is a Saros. I think when I bought it, it was $120 or something. I need a new one. This thing's about shot it. I need to send it and get it cleaned and rebuilt. But I always run braid to fluorocarbon leader. You can see it's a little faded now, but Daiwa J Braid, 15 pound, to generally an 8 pound InvizX fluorocarbon leader. I tie an FG knot. I leave it, you know, pretty long leader. That way I can continue to retie and not have to retie the leader. Generally about 15 foot I'd say is where I start. And then when it gets down to about 6 or 7 is when I'll actually retie. But that J Braid's a very good braid for the price. I've had extremely good luck. I love the high vis yellow. I can use it at night, see my line under a black light. So that's a very big benefit to me. I don't have to change lines when it comes time to night fish. Another benefit to the braid is you get even higher sensitivity, and it allows me to fish that Keitech deep with a softer rod. You know, I don't want to use a super stiff rod because, number one, we're using light wire hooks, and I don't want to risk bending them out or anything like that. And that's a little bit softer rod. I can get some really good casting distance on it. So that's the setup. I mean, you can use any 7-foot medium. If I was going to buy a rod just to throw a Keitech, I think I would want something a little longer, maybe 7.3 to 7.6. You know, medium would work just fine. But a 7-foot medium, you know, all around spinning rod will work just fine. Reel size really doesn't matter that much. 2,500, 3,000 size is perfect. This one is probably a little bit easier as far as to talk about because it's very simple. Most of the time I run a 2.8 Keitech swing impact fat. If I'm running the 2.8 and I'm fishing it 20-25 foot or less, 3/16 head. This is my absolute favorite head because it holds these Keitechs better than anything else. But you have to order them. You can't find them anywhere locally around here. It's a Dirty Jigs Guppy head. It's got the 90-degree line tie. It's got a realistic head and eyeball. And it's got a little bit stouter hook than, say, like a VMC Moon Eye, which is one you see a lot. But I like a 3/16 on the 2.8. I will go up to a quarter if I'm fishing it, say 20 to 40 foot deep, if it's like extreme winter. And then sometimes I'll also go up to a 3.3 Keitech, and that's always on a 1/4 ounce head. So that's pretty simple. My go-to color for a realistic shad imitation is that Gizzard Shad 2.8, just like that. It's a really good natural color, looks good in the water. Color really doesn't matter on that Keitech that much. Don't get too hung up on it. Use something natural and you'll be fine. I hope I'm not missing anything. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section. Hit that thumbs up. I'll try and get back to you guys and answer any questions that you might have. Thanks for watching.